Hello and welcome to Regenerative Living. My name is Tony Cho. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about Miami as the new Atlantis. And Miami is a very important place for me because I've been here for the last 24, 25 years. But I also grew up going between Central Florida and here. We had a house in Old Cutler. And I remember in 1992 when Hurricane Andrew blew off the roof of my dad's house in Briar Bay, just in South Miami, and how impactful that storm was and how it really decimated a whole chunk of Miami. And it only seems that these hurricanes are getting more and more and more intense. And it just reminds me of the Greek mythology about the Atlanteans who had built this, golden era, amazing civilization on an island, and they had gotten greedy and really self-interested and self-focused, and the gods became very infuriated with them. And so to teach them a lesson and to punish them, they created basically this tidal wave and engulfed them in water. And it's kind of uncanny, the correlations between Miami and Atlantis, but I think of it in both a positive and a negative way, right? I think if we continue to do the same things and expect a different result, that is a very definition of insanity. And so I think there's data that shows that by 2070, sea levels may rise another 3 feet, putting, 1.7 million acres, in jeopardy on the coastal areas. And the UN predicts that by 2100, 2 billion climate change refugees will be in flux and looking for different locations to live. That's a seismic shift on this earth. But even if we don't believe those predictions, or they're not going to impact your generation or your life, we do see changes happening all the time. I see them. I see the storm events being more intense. I see the streets flooding in Brickell, where I own property, where I've developed property. And so I, as someone who's been living in Miami my whole life, or practically most of my adult life, really has seen the changes that are around us that we know that are human made. There's data to show that our intervention has caused some of this. And so how can we take this lesson or this story of Greek mythology to inspire us to make Miami not only the capital of capital, but the capital of innovation, the capital of conscious capital, where we can rapidly prototype solutions that are going to make Miami one of the most innovative, incredible places. And we're seeing things happening all over the city that are inspiring, like Kind Designs building biophilic seawalls that mimic nature and that attract sea life, or the Reef Line that my friend Jimena Caminos is spearheading, 7 miles of artificial reef that's promoting coastal resilience and that's promoting sea life and regeneration of the coral reefs, which have basically been destroyed. I think 70% of our coral reefs have been destroyed. And I love Miami. This is my native home. This state of Florida is so important. The Everglades are the green lungs of the United States, and all we're doing is destroying it. We're paving over it. We're polluting it. Phosphates are running into Lake Okeechobee through unsavory agricultural monocropping practices in our state, and it's affecting everything that happens upstream affects us downstream. And so we really need to take responsibility for our actions, and that's why we started the Chosen Center for Regenerative Living, is really to show people through the eyes of a seaplane, where you can fly slow and low and really look at the completely insane suburban sprawl that's happening all across our state, and how that's really creating an imbalance for our water systems, for our air systems. We lost half of our manatee population last year. Can you believe that, in Indian River County? And that's because there's no food for these animals. We've really taken so much more than we can sustain, and we need to check ourselves. We need to realize that we're not the only species, and we won't survive if we kill off all these species. We want to coexist with all the other biodiversity on this planet. So let's protect the biodiversity. It keeps us in check, keeps us sane, and it keeps us in balance with nature, and we are nature. So let's come together, let's work to prototype the most amazing innovative solutions, and let's make Miami the poster child of climate solutions, not the poster child of climate change and sea level rise, and let's not bear the wrath of the gods because of our own foolish behavior.